I don't normally share this full part of my journey because in a way, it's a little bit embarrassing, but also I don't care anymore. You know? So I got laid off because of budget, and in that time, I've worked 10 years to get this job, and being from California, you know how hard it is to actually become a firefighter there.
Yeah.
It's quite a challenging thing. There's a lot of competition, which is weird because I feel like it's, looking back, it's like a mediocre job. You can only go this high and it stops there. And
it's prestigious.
So I get laid off. I'm okay with it because I understand why. The city ran out of money. I was one of the last ones hired. First one's fired. I call up my teacher and I go, can I come teach for you? And he's running teacher trainings down in Mexico. Actually, no, it was in Bali. So I went to Bali, taught a teacher training out there. I was there for 2 months, and then I get a call saying we had some people move to another department that got hired to a different fire department, and there's a space open. Would you like to come back? So I came back, and I was put on probation as part of the standards, the MOUs, the Memorandum of Understanding that's put in place. So I was on probation again, which is basically you're not protected by the union. There for 6 months, had to do all the probationary stuff that I had to do the first year. I'd been there for 4 years. On the last day, I show up to work, and my captain's gone, my partner's gone, engineer, and there's one of the chiefs there. And he said, okay, well, we decided that we're going to let you go. You're not a good fit for this department. That was one of the hardest things for me because I've always fought trying to belong to something and trying to be good enough. And here was something that I worked so hard to be, and then to be told that you're not good enough for this. But you're not good enough because your job skills aren't good enough, you're not a good enough firefighter or paramedic, because we just don't like you. Which was basically what it was. My captain didn't like who I was. He didn't think I was a good fit. I was a yogi, I was doing my own thing a lot, I was a free thinker. And that destroyed me. It destroyed me, and I went home crying, not knowing what I was going to do with my life. The only thing I've ever wanted was to be a firefighter. So I sit down on my couch and I'm like, okay, well, what are my skills? I play music, and I do graphic design on the side, and I teach a little bit of yoga. And here's like a job that paid the bills, that was good. So I started going into graphic design, trying to get little jobs to cover my mortgage, which there's no way that that's going to happen. So I had to rent out my house and move. And I decided to teach yoga. I said, I don't care. This is what really makes me happy. And I'd been on that journey to understanding self, spiritual journey, to understanding myself for about 3 years, 3 years as a teacher, 4 years total. So I moved to LA and started teaching full time, and then now I'm here.
That was 8 years ago, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Wow. And now you're here, and now, I mean, you know, you're world known. You know, you're known as one of the guys when it comes to yoga, right?
It's funny because, like we were talking before this, like I don't know why you invited me on this show, and I've been thinking about this a lot, about why am I here, and you know, we think about the meaning of life, and this is one of the great philosophical questions that everyone asks, like what is the meaning of life, which is, in my opinion, the stupidest question you could ask. Everything is impermanent. We know that. And so it doesn't matter whatever you do, whatever anybody does, nothing's going to last. Everything is going to fade away. So how can you find meaning in impermanence? But it's the wrong question of what is the meaning of life. The question is, what is the meaning of my life? Because that's what's important. So when you understand what is the meaning of my life, which is not an easy question, it's a really hard one, and people struggle with that, but it's a much better one than what is the meaning of life. once you figure out what the meaning of your life is, and the beautiful thing about that is you create it. You get to create the meaning of your life. No one tells you. No one says that, Brian, you're going to inspire the world by telling stories. No one told you to do that. You went and tried to find meaning in all kinds of other things. You went to MIT, made lots of money, and for some reason you decided none of those things were your meaning. You chose what your meaning was. The second part is the easiest part, which is what is my purpose? I believe whenever you find what your meaning is, your purpose is simply to share that. For me, my meaning was to understand what truth was. Because I know that if I'm not in the truth, if I'm somewhere else, I'm suffering. And no one wants to suffer. And I found so much joy and content and happiness. And it's not there all the time. I'm constantly searching to be here, to relax, to let go, to surrender, to open up, to be present. And then share that with other people. Because if you found something that was so important to you, that means so much to you, why would you not want to share that? And so this gives us the greater purpose. Tony Robbins talks about our 6 essential needs: certainty, uncertainty. We need to have shelter, know how things are coming. We need to know there has to be some sort of variety in life. We need to have purpose and meaning in our life. We need to have growth. And then the last 2, the most important of our higher self is loving connection and contribution. And this is what makes us human. This is what makes us special, is these last 2 things, that we could create connections with each other, to love each other, and then we could give to that. So, I don't even know where I was going with this, but
this is what you're doing now with your life.
This is my life now.
How come we miss that give part a lot of times in, Western culture, Western media, social media, that, because I've had a lot of people in that chair that basically says, you're here to be of service, that's ultimately what we're doing here. But no one ever gets told that. We both grew up in America, and we were both taught that you got to service yourself, right? You have to get mine. I mean, that's kind of the popular version.
Well, here's the reason. Because you're told that it's about you. But here's the truth, that it's not about you. That's what I tell myself almost every day. When I sat in this chair, when we were sitting there, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking it's not about me. When you think it's about you, then that's when you want to build you up. That's where the ego comes into it. That's when you think that there's something to obtain, because you're at the center. For millennia, we thought that the earth was the center of the universe. And we still treat it like it is. We think that we're the center of reality, and we treat life like it's the center of reality. Once you realize it's not about you, it's about us.